Why India criticizes China's African investments. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today, we're diving into a topic that's been making waves in international relations and geopolitics. Why India criticizes China's African investments. This discussion stems from a recent statement made by India's External Affairs Minister, S. Jaishankar, at the Japan-India-Africa Business Forum. His comments have sparked a lot of debate, especially when it comes to India's approach to Africa compared to China's. So, let's break it down and see what's really going on. Jaishankar's statement, a closer look. During the forum, Jaishankar emphasized India's commitment to Africa, stating that India's engagement is focused on capacity building, skill development, and technology transfer. He contrasted this with what he called extractive models of engagement, implying that India's approach is more sustainable and beneficial for African nations. At first glance, this sounds like a noble stance. After all, who wouldn't want to see African countries develop self-sustaining growth ecosystems? But when you dig deeper, it raises some questions. Why is India framing its involvement in Africa as morally superior to China's? And is there any substance to these claims, or is this just another attempt to discredit China's growing influence in the region? The extractive model narrative. Indian media outlets were quick to interpret Jaishankar's comments as a subtle jab at China. They've been pushing a narrative that portrays China as the villain in Africa's development story, accusing it of creating a debt trap through its loans and investments. But here's the thing. This debt trap theory has been debunked countless times. For instance, data from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, shows that Africa's total external debt stands at around $700 billion. Of this, only 11% is owed to China. The majority of Africa's debt, about 66%, comes from commercial bonds and multilateral institutions. So, the idea that China is the primary cause of Africa's debt problems is simply not supported by the facts. India's investments versus China's a numbers game. Let's talk numbers. Indian media proudly highlights that India has committed over $12 billion in concessional credit to Africa for connectivity and infrastructure development. That's certainly a significant amount, but when you compare it to China's investments, the difference is staggering. Over the past 2 decades, China has invested more than $200 billion in Africa. In 2022 alone, China's trade with Africa reached $282 billion, making it Africa's largest trading partner for 15 consecutive years. China's investments span a wide range of sectors, including infrastructure, technology, and resources. These investments have helped build thousands of kilometers of railways, highways, ports, and airports across the continent. So while India's contributions are commendable, they pale in comparison to China's scale and impact. This raises the question, is India's criticism of China's approach rooted in genuine concern for Africa, or is it a case of sour grapes? The debt trap. Theory debunked. The debt trap narrative has been a favorite talking point for critics of China's African investments. But African leaders themselves have repeatedly debunked this theory. For example, Rwandan President Paul Kagame has stated that African countries are not being forced into debt by China. Instead, they're entering into mutually beneficial agreements that contribute to their development. Similarly, South African President Cyril Ramaphosa has emphasized that Chinese investments are not leading to debt traps, but are instead helping to build much-needed infrastructure across the continent. These projects are laying the foundation for long-term growth and development. India's role in Africa, a reality check. India is Africa's 4th largest trading partner, with two-way trade worth nearly $100 billion. That's no small feat, and it's a testament to the growing economic ties between India and Africa. However, India's trade and investment in Africa are still far behind China's. India's media often portrays its cooperation with Africa as a model of capacity building, while labeling China's approach as extractive. But this double standard is hard to ignore. For instance, Indian media criticizes China's loans to Africa, claiming that they're causing economic instability in some countries. Yet, they conveniently overlook the fact that India's investments are a fraction of China's and don't have the same transformative impact. The real motivation behind India's criticism. So, why is India so critical of China's African investments? Some experts argue that it stems from India's frustration with its inability to match China's scale and influence in the region. India's engagement with Africa, while significant, is limited compared to China's. Instead of acknowledging this gap, some Indian media outlets have chosen to vilify China to make India appear as the better partner for Africa. Liu Zhongyi, a scholar at the Shanghai Institutes for International Studies, has pointed out that India's use of terms like extractive and debt trap is part of a broader, malicious narrative. This rhetoric not only lacks a logical foundation, but also fails to understand Africa's real developmental needs. A call for cooperation, not competition. At the end of the day, Africa's development is not a zero-sum game. Both China and India have roles to play in helping the continent achieve its full potential. Instead of viewing Africa as an arena for geopolitical rivalry, the two countries should focus on creating win-win outcomes. As Qian Feng, a researcher at Tsinghua University, has noted, there's tremendous potential for China and India to work together in Africa. By strengthening communication and coordination, they can contribute to the continent's growth in a way that benefits everyone involved. While India's emphasis on capacity building and skill development is commendable, it's important to recognize the broader context. Africa needs investments, technology transfer, and infrastructure development, not divisive narratives that pit countries against each other. China's contributions to Africa's development are undeniable, and India's criticism of its approach often comes across as hypocritical. Instead of playing geopolitics with Africa's future, both China and India should focus on how they can collaborate to support the continent's growth. So, what do you think? Is India's criticism of China's African investments justified, or is it just a case of sour grapes? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into global issues. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.